Let's call a meeting to order. First item of business is to turn off your cell phones or turn them to vibrate. Next item is the minutes.
And move on to minutes is mailed.
Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item is the claims.
Move on to claims as mailed to
Second.
or reviewed.
Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I'm going to pass around the memorandum of personnel transactions.
I move we receive the memorandum of personnel transactions.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. JD.
You have an authorization to initiate the hiring process for 2 civilian jailers. On the back of that is a letter from Sheriff Drew explaining the request.
I'd move on that authorization.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The flu shots.
It's already flu shot season. District Health contacted us last week. The flu vaccination should be here within the next couple of weeks, and they would like to move to see that Woodbury County employees be offered flu shots again. This is something we've done for the past years that I know of. The vaccination will be at the cost of the county for county employees at $20 per shot. We would offer it to state and members of your family for $25, made payable to Siouxland District Health. We would offer 2 sessions, usually over at LEC, one afternoon, one morning, and then they do come out and do a 3rd signing for our secondary roads training in October.
I'd move for that authorization.
Second. Discussion.
Discussion?
How much does that usually run every year?
I believe last year we supplied 240 shots at $20 a shot, so roughly $4,000.
Have we normally taken that money out of Riverboat or wherever?
It comes out of the health fund.
Oh, come out of the health fund?
Yes, we're able to provide that out of our wellness program.
Are we able to do that again?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Did we vote on that?
Nope.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, JD.
County treasurer.
Yeah, we had these once before, but they were approved without a resolution. Apparently, it's now required by state law to that you have to do it by resolution.
Okay. We need 3 separate motions on this?
That's correct.
Move on WV abatement.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I'd move on to LP.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Move on JS.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. You have a time set or a set a hearing for parcel number 538815 for the 10th day of September at 10:15. Is there a motion?
Motion to set the hearing.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. need a resolution for the abatement, tax abatement for the county farm.
I'd move it.
I'd second that.
Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Have the tax abatement for the social service building out on Tri-View.
Move it.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I'd move on the, receive the county recorder's report on fees that have been collected.
Second.
County auditor.
County auditor.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. The reason we're down to 3 members here, it just dawned on me, I should probably mention, they both had
Funerals.
deaths in the family, so. Mark.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Our first item is a request to go out for engineering consultation assistance with Horton Slough Drainage District work. This is a project that was commenced, I think, in 2011 after early spring rains had resulted in a request by members of the district to take a look at doing improvements out there with the bridge work and CF Industries work that our departments had to take on here in the last few months. I'd like the board to consider perhaps going out for engineering. The district does have a balance that allows them to pay for that. You folks function as trustees of the district, so it's your choices on whether or not to spend money on work, which includes engineering work for improvements to that district.
So let me understand this. They need some help with something and you're too busy?
Well,
is that what it is?
That's what it is. They're looking at a fairly extensive project. We've done a complete topographic survey of the area, including both the areas west of I-29 and east of I-29. Currently, the entire district drains from under 29 for the western portion, and then south it comes under 75 through a series of culverts and an open ditch. It drains back under 75 near where it crosses 250th Street, which is our new Loudon pavement. And then it goes out into a field where it's picked up by a drop inlet, a 36-inch drop inlet, that feeds a 1910 vintage 20-inch concrete pipe. It's just basic butted concrete pipe. And that carries all the water that comes out of the 2,900 acres of the district down to Brown's Lakeward outlets. It crosses the interstate once in that underground conduit because the underground, the intake for it is near the instrument flight tower that's sitting out there in the middle of that field.
Okay.
North of the Port Neal interchange. Mm-hmm. You look a little bit west of there and there's an area that's not planted at this point in time.
Oh, it's
That's
underwater.
just changed ownership and he's interested in farming that again. So he's looking for improvements to that. But what we found is that the intake and the pipe are working. There's no breaks in it at this point in time that we've detected. We'll check again this fall, see whether any repairs need to be made. Usually once the crops are out, you can see if there's a sinkhole, basically.
Okay.
I mean, if there's a joint that's
Yeah.
leaking, that's the
It'll
first
be a hole
clue
there,
we
yeah.
have. We had one intake on the Patterson property that is broken and non-functioning. It might have been hit by farm equipment or something at the time of the survey.
Which Patterson? Which
I think it's Rick.
So the big land across the interstate?
Yes.
Okay.
Everything's, you know, it runs across his land underground on 260th, and then there's 2 risers, as I recall, on that property
Okay.
that help drain that field. And then it goes to an improved outlet. The outlet is also 36 inches in diameter. They basically slid it over the old concrete pipe. And that gives folks the impression that that underground conduit's a lot bigger than it is. It's really not all that large.
Okay.
What we looked at doing, they were looking for a way to get rid of the water faster. Just my preliminary calculations showed that a 36-inch pipe laid alongside of that 20-inch pipe, which is about all we could handle for depth in the upper reaches of that area, would improve the drainage similar to what we were able to model with rainfall in the spring of that year this whole project commenced. It would reduce it from 28 days to drain to about 7 to 9 days to drain.
Pretty good.
There's other options that we'd look at too. That's with both pipes running at their maximum efficiency. And we don't see where that's not occurring now on the 20-inch. But it was going to be a $600,000 project.
Wow.
We've got a bore under I-29. There would be stand pipes in various areas, and then addressing some of the drainage needs of the folks that are on the west side of the interstate also needs to be done. There's areas where we need to extend some type of intake or conduit that come north even on the east side of the interstate, because the area around Barnett and 235th don't drain well either. Basically it comes to the ditch and ponds until it goes away on its own.
Yeah.
There's a lot of issues out there with making this full improvement. We just, frankly, with the load that we have with taking care of road design,
Right.
and we just don't have the time to devote right now to it.
Betcha.
How many acres is in
It's 2,930, I think, is what our drainage map shows. So that's roughly, it's just shy of 5 square miles.
it's on a $600,000 project?
And they didn't bat an eye, which is what surprised me.
Does this affect that property that we were having problems with? That, you know what I'm talking about? The one across the B 250th towards Salix. Is that Orton Slough there too?
Yeah, I believe it is, yes.
So are we gonna create a problem or make that problem go away too?
Depends on what your goals with the property are. If you want good drainage, the big thing is getting the farmland drained.
Right.
And the way everything is designed, it all flows to the south toward Browns Lake. Now, I know there's other opinions going on. We've been contacted by one of the property owners upon whom the underground conduit has an easement. Potential development on a property out there is affected by the presence of the underground conduit. They have to be very careful that they don't disrupt, crush, or otherwise cause a problem for all of the upstream residents. This is not an easy design project. And, you know, my comfort level is roads and bridges.
So that's why you'll come back with the recommendation
Well,
afterwards?
what we're going to do is we'll send out a request for qualifications. There's at least 3 very good experienced consultants in this area that I would send solicitations out to. One based out of Storm Lake, one out of Sergeant Bluff, the other out of Ottawa. They're already serving as trustees for drainage districts in other parts of the state and in Woodbury County. These folks have a good deal of experience. We'd get a meeting going. You know, I would still do the project supervision, but I just don't have enough horses to get all the design work done and really do justice to the project or get it done in the timetable that these folks would like to see.
Get it done.
They have the money. I think it's appropriate for us to use it to get that work done.
Yeah,
I would move.
They're looking at $300 an acre.
It's not, well, it's not a lot of money to make it productive, though.
It really is.
Not my money.
And apparently, in their opinion, it was not a lot of money to be spending to, I see people spending a good deal more than that on field tile.
Well, the
They're
tile,
looking at the long-term benefit of it.
yeah, the tile was done a couple, 3 years ago down there, right into Browns Lake, across Patterson's place.
That's been part of it from the 1920s. That pipe's always been there, but you have done repairs to it over these years. Whenever there's a blow up or a sinkhole, the county goes in and
Fixes
we
it.
patch that pipe back together.
Okay. Well, I would move that we allow the request for proposals.
Second it.
Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next item I have is approval of a permit for Mass Tech North America. They're looking at putting in a 6-pair line to service an individual house. This is going to be retroactive to approval. The house was out of service with their phone. So I allowed them to bore the line and get them back into service, but this is the board's official stamp of approval on it.
I move that the chairman be authorized to sign.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next one I have is another permit to work on underground utility, fiber optic repair. They're putting in a stretch of fiber optic along 180th Street. It's a complete relocation from the existing one. They're going from an existing vault with better line to a new vault. They'll be up in the shoulder of our road. It's for WOW out of Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
Move it.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
They actually submitted 3, so I can pass along a couple more to you. They wanted the original for their records. Next item we have is approval of our supply contract for propane for secondary roads, emergency services, county conservation, and the treasurer's office.
Move it.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
There's also copies of that contract as well. Final item I had was discussion. Our department has jurisdiction on determining whether field entrances can be safely placed along the road. We do from time to time, because of our topography with the hills and winding roads we have, there are places where people would like to have an entrance that we just can't place it. In this case, we have an individual who understands our regulations. He was actually involved in an accident in his parents' home, which is just east of this location on 220th Street. Pulling out of the driveway, somebody came over the hill and T-boned him. He survived with injuries. They weren't permanently debilitating, but he does understand the issues that we have with sight distance and why we have requirements for sight distance. Basically, we set on our typical county road a 550-foot minimum sight distance. What that is the amount of distance needed for a vehicle to see a hazard in the road. And that's a hazard that's 4.5 feet tall from a 3.5 foot of height of eye. So that's the height you're sitting in a typical automobile. And be able to see a hazard, move your foot from the accelerator to the brake, and stop the vehicle safely. So we try, unless we're in an area where we have a posted speed limit of 35, and I mean posted, not an advisory speed like you'll see underneath the curb signs and such. But a posted speed less than that, we set it for 55 miles an hour. So that we assure both for the safety of the people alongside of the road and the people using the road that we can get stopped. What's occurred in this situation is that we tried sighting the driveway over the top of the hill. If we move too far to the east, we have a hole to the west where you can't see a vehicle for 3 to 4 seconds. We move to the west, we lose a vehicle for 3 to 4 seconds to the east. It's just the way the hill comes up and flattens off that it's difficult to sight a driveway. I didn't want to, what we can do as a solution to this is the valley to the west can't be filled or raised without the acquisition of right-of-way. But by crowding the driveway to the west, in this case, we're able to do some grading on the east side of this lot and build up the road to where we can improve the road. And it helps not only this person who wants the house, but it also improves the road for the rest of the public who will be able to see better as they approach this hill. We'll actually get up to that 55-mile-an-hour stopping sight distance design in that area. I'm not sure that it's the secondary road department's mission, though, to go out and look at a road that is otherwise in suitable condition, that was graded back in the 1930s or 1940s, and begin to make spot improvements on roads for housing development. If you look at it from an income perspective or a policy perspective, I'm not sure we should be in the business of subsidizing housing. My suggestion would be, if we do this, we charge the individual who's requesting the work for the cost of the road improvement, including the dirt, the labor to put it in place, and then the gravel to cover it up and get the road back so it's suitable for travel. In this case, it would be kind of a relatively small cost, $2,500 to $3,000. Before checking with us, this individual started to develop the area. It's on their family farm. His long-term intention is his folks live in the house to the west. He's setting up his residence there for his family, and they have long-term ties to the land. I don't have a problem with creating for him a safe entrance, but it does divert money and resources to a project that isn't essential for the road to function otherwise. This is why I feel we need to look back on the property owner for it. Just like we do with an assessment district. If folks develop out in an area, they want to have a paved road in front of them, we pass along the cost of that paving to those residents. In this case, we're passing along the cost of modifying that road to meet their needs to the resident who's requesting it. He's already invested over $10,000 in a windbreak on this place where he wants to build the house. He did all of that before he checked with us. It was one of those where he stood up and he looked and he could see into both valleys. But the height of eye of a 6-foot-tall man is a lot higher than somebody sitting in a car. What I'd like to do is to develop a policy that would allow us to do these improvements, pass along the expense, and have the individuals sign a construction agreement where they would pay the cost when the work is complete. That's my suggestion for handling it, but since doing this for one person could result in other requests, because there are driveways that we do turn down on the road system, both on paved and the unpaved road system. I want to be sure that the board's aware of those ramifications and that we have an opportunity to discuss whether this is something we should be doing.
Do you have the manpower to do this? Passing the cost along to the landowner, that's what you should be doing. But do you have the manpower to divert to this?
This isn't a real tough job for us. We have ditch cleaning in the area that we can do. We have the excavator. Basically, the actual road building, it's a couple hours with a scraper to take and salvage the gravel and stack it outside the area where we're adding the fill. We're looking at 3 men. District 3 could handle this in maybe 3 days. This is not a huge job. We're bringing up the road elevation about 3 feet in the bottom of that sag, and that will provide sight distance where a vehicle will not get lost over the top of that hill. It's not a difficult job for us to do at all, and we don't need to really steal resources from other districts. We don't need to pull away from any of our projects that we're trying to do with snow track removals in a couple of different areas this fall. There really is no harm in our ability to get this one done.
Well, I'd say let's go ahead and do it. You completely reviewed, all of the, pros and cons of the thing, Mark. And I do think that we need a policy, as you say, on this, because I think more of this is going to happen, in the unincorporated areas out there. And since he's initiated, the development of his own property, and it creates a situation for him, he's willing to participate, let's do it. And, but we do need a general policy, because there's going to be other occurrences like this.
Right. My proposal would be to draft a construction agreement to cover this one, and then at a later date bring back an agreement with the board, or a policy for the board's approval, so that we have something in place when these requests occur in the future.
The only thing I would say is I would rather have the policy before you do the work.
It makes
Because you're already opening it up by going ahead and agreeing to this one. They'll come back to us and say, you didn't have a policy and you did it for so-and-so.
Okay.
That's the unfortunate thing is if we allow this one, we're already opening up the door to let them go ahead and come in and see you.
The only thing is, David, though, if we allow him to do this with the contingency that he develops the policy and we've approved it at this particular meeting, it's public, then the public knows that they're going to get this policy, and it's going to be done and it's official. So it shouldn't be, you're talking about retroactivity here, I think, and I don't think we have a problem with that.
I see Dave's.
I do too. But
my only worry is that right now, while it's dry, it's not a good time to be out blading roads. I can free up a crew pretty quickly. I'm just sitting here trying to think if this week will allow me to get a policy typed up for the board's approval for next week maybe, because I want to keep this moving.
Well, here's the deal. It just says discussion anyway on it. It doesn't say we have to make any
I guess
stance on it.
I guess the important thing is you're supportive of, the board's supportive of having a policy developed. You'd like to approve it before I sign a construction agreement. I'll see what I can get done, because I've got to write the agreement too.
I know it.
I'll see what I can do to bring that back for the board for next week.
Okay, appreciate it.
Yep. That's reasonable, and I'll get to work on it.
Do you want
I mean, the policy, the agreement and the policy are going to mirror each other, so
Right.
I have to write the agreement anyway.
how far along is this gentleman on his development of his residential out there?
Once he knows that he has an access, he would like to get started on it this fall. He's talking.
Okay, so we do have some.
He's talking mid-September. He's got a friend who has a backhoe who would be taking the foundation, and it's kind of where all the stars are aligning for him in late September, early October.
Okay, so we do have a little time.
He'll wait till the fields are out and ready to roll.
Yeah, there's well, actually, it's land. That whole lot is laying dirt right now, I think.
Oh.
I think he put it into hay this year, so, because he thought he'd be able to get started a little earlier.
Okay.
My staff has been tied up with the paving projects that we've had, and we got out and got it surveyed, and it's just taken a little while to get it plotted and get everything laid out so that we were sure we could make him an access.
Okay.
Okay.
If I
It'll
could,
work.
I would share quickly that we've got I-29 is now open, and D51 overpass at Port Neal is also open. That occurred about half an hour ago.
Good.
Well, we can look at it.
We're going to look
down
at it
that
on a
way.
tour.
Yep.
So they used the existing beam they had. They made it
What they
work.
did was they reamed out the holes, and they found that there wasn't enough structural loss to cause a problem.
Okay.
Actually, all yesterday, the contractor was just pulling out his equipment. We thought we might have it open before close of business yesterday, but it took a little longer to get the equipment out. So that's some good news. We are up and open again. Paving's all done on Luton. I didn't get you guys a construction report, so. But the paving is done at Luton now. Shouldering and guardrail will follow. Shouldering is supposed to start yet this week, so I'm hoping that the contractor's in place and getting that ready to go here this afternoon. We now have enough cure time on the whole pavement that they can go through and get it done.
Good.
Thanks, Mark.
You got the vehicle here?
It's over in the ramp, so I would have to go get it. And
Jen-
John Colello was going to accompany us out there, so
Okay.
he'll follow along.
All right.
And then he's also got capacity for anybody else who wants to come along.
Okay, we'll see you outside in 10 minutes or so.
All right, very good. Here's John.
We now come to part of the hearing, or the meeting. Anyone wishing to make a presentation to the board? It's not on the agenda. Any board members want to be heard?
Move to adjourn.
We're adjourned.
Are you guys going on the industrial tour today, or? Yeah. You are going? Where is it? 'Cause I'm supposed to come with. I know you're excited about it.
Well, I don't know if it's gonna be.
Well, it's gonna be South Town, you're gonna be probably looking at, the CF properties down there off Portview Road and,
The new asphalt.